myself from Diabetes Strong, and this video will be focusing on the Dexcom and the Freestyle Libre CGMs, and some of the reasons why you might choose one system over the other. We'll also touch upon some maybe surprising differences between those two systems. If you've been following my channel for a little while, you know that I use the Dexcom G6 CGM, sits right here, but I also did a comparison with the Freestyle Libre sensor. If you want to check that out, I'll leave a link to that up here. But ultimately, after trying both systems, I decided to stick with the Dexcom. I'm not the only one from the diabetes community who chooses the Dexcom over the Libre. That's not uncommon, and it's not surprising at all. However, when I saw that Tom, who runs the YouTube channel Type 1 Talks, had switched from Libre to Dexcom back in 2021, I was somewhat surprised. I invited him on my channel today. So what I'll be asking him about is, why did he make this switch from Libre to Dexcom? Why now? And does he have any regrets?
Hey Crystal, thanks so much for having me on your channel. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Tom. I was diagnosed 30 years ago, or more than 30 years ago actually, when I was 3 years old. And when I was 35 years old, believe me or not, I actually started a YouTube channel trying to help people to manage their blood sugars.
Thank you, Tom. I'm super excited to have you here, so let's just dive right in. So the first thing that I think I and a lot of the other viewers have been wondering about is, how long did you actually wear the Libre sensor for, and why did you choose to make the switch to Dexcom?
I used Freestyle Libre for over 3 years. It was my first CGM, and it was the one that taught me how much more information I can get about my blood sugar levels 24/7 basically when I use CGM compared to the old school finger pricking. So Freestyle Libre will always be in my heart because it improved the quality of my life with diabetes so much. If some of your viewers also watch my YouTube channel, they probably know that over the past 3 years I tried many different CGM solutions that are out there. Libre 1, Libre 2, Dexcom G6 and various off-label DIY solutions. I've spent a lot of time comparing different systems, and honestly, each system has its pros and cons. I am obsessed by blood sugar management and continuous glucose monitoring, as you probably can tell by now. Now finally I'm getting to the answer to your question I didn't forget. The reason why I choose Dexcom G6 over anything else on the market right now is that I can use it with my Tandem X2 insulin pump as part of a closed-loop solution for insulin delivery. The algorithm behind this solution is called Control-IQ, and Control-IQ receives the information from my Dexcom G6 and tells my insulin pump how to adjust the insulin delivery to keep my blood sugar in the ideal range. It still requires my involvement, don't get me wrong, it's not fully automated, but it takes a lot of decision making, a lot of stress out of my plate.
Thank you for sharing that, Tom. I know a lot of others who really love that Tandem Dexcom combination, so it makes a lot of sense that you made that switch. So thinking back, was there anything that surprised you when you switched to Dexcom, good or bad?
Well, one thing that surprised me negatively about Dexcom G6 was how inaccurate Dexcom G6 for me on day one. After I apply a new Dexcom G6 sensor for the first 6 to 8 hours, I get extremely low glucose readings, much lower than the readings actually are when I check with a glucometer. And so this first 6 to 8 hours, sometimes even longer, basically the first day, I usually tell to other people, the system has not been very accurate for me and I cannot fully rely on it. But to be fair, after these first few hours, the readings usually normalize and are actually extremely accurate when I compare them to my glucometer readings. And as you can imagine, it is key to have accurate input from your CGM if you are on a closed-loop solution, if your pump is automatically adjusting the amount of insulin it's giving you based on that data from the CGM. You really need an accurate CGM.
So what would you say are the main differences between the two systems that people should know?
Differences between Freestyle Libre and Dexcom. Well, this is a tricky question because there are so many different versions of these two solutions out there. We have Libre 1 in some countries. In most countries we already have Libre 2, and in Germany they even have Libre 3, so 3 different generations of Freestyle Libre. With Dexcom G6 is the version that's used in most countries, but some of the countries are still on G5. And not all these versions are the same, so it is a bit tricky to compare. There are so many little differences between these individual versions of these systems that we could talk about here for a long time, but I will really focus on these two principles because I think they help to set the stage. The first point I want to highlight is the design of the actual sensor. Freestyle Libre is typically smaller and less bulky than Dexcom, no matter what version you have. And it is a little bit better looking, at least on my opinion. When I compare Libre 3 with Dexcom G6, you can see clear difference in size, and Dexcom is just a bulkier device and not so good looking, at least for the versions that are out there right now. Freestyle Libre is also a lot faster and easier to apply and to remove compared to Dexcom. So if someone is looking for an easy, good looking grab and go solution, Freestyle Libre is a clear winner in my opinion. On the other hand, Dexcom G6 has all these little extras, like optional calibrations of the sensor readings to the glucometer, automated transfers of the data from the sensor to your receiving device. And as I was talking about before, it integrates with some of the automated insulin delivery solutions like Control-IQ. Freestyle Libre doesn't do that yet. And so Dexcom is really more advanced with these special features. Now the second difference, or the second principle I want to talk about, is access. Now you might not know this, but 4 million of people in the world are using Freestyle Libre. Only 1 million of people is using Dexcom, and I'm just giving some approximate numbers right now. But you might think, why is that? Why so many more people are using Freestyle Libre compared to Dexcom if Dexcom has all the special features I talked about before? Well, it's simple. Freestyle Libre is just available in a lot more countries. I'm in Brazil right now, and you cannot buy Dexcom in this country. There is no distribution network in Brazil for Dexcom. You can get Freestyle Libre, but not Dexcom. So not only Brazil, but other countries are in the similar spot. They cannot just get to Dexcom because it doesn't exist in their country, it's not distributed there. Speaking of access, another thing to touch on is price, because Dexcom is typically a lot more expensive than Libre. And so if you don't have a good insurance plan that covers your CGMs fully, no matter which one it is, and you might need to pay for it from your own pocket, then you might go for Libre because it's a lot cheaper. So to sum up, if someone is obsessed by blood sugar monitoring and blood sugar management like me, they will probably go for Dexcom or Dexcom G6. If someone is looking for the best value for money, it might be Freestyle Libre for them. So these are the two principles how these sensors differ, but as I said, there are so many little things we could talk about comparing the individual versions of these sensors.
Tom, last question from me. Would you ever switch back to the Libre?
Yes, Crystal, I would totally switch back to Freestyle Libre, because as I said, Freestyle Libre will always be in my heart. And right now I'm testing Freestyle Libre 3. I must say it's really good. It's a real-time CGM, so it's transferring the data from the sensor to my phone automatically. I don't have to scan anymore like I had to with Freestyle Libre 2 and Freestyle Libre 1. But I get some more conditions that need to happen, what needs to happen, what Abbott need to do for me to go back to Freestyle Libre full-time. And the main condition is that Freestyle Libre 3 just needs to work as a part of my Control-IQ system. Until that happens, there is not really any motivation for me to switch back to Freestyle Libre 3. And the second condition I have, what would need to happen is Freestyle Libre 3 would need to have the calibration function. I want to be able to calibrate my sensor in case it's not giving me accurate data. I have this option with Dexcom, but Libre never had it, and until they get it, I don't think I will go back.
That makes total sense, and I really get the feel that you really love the Tandem Control-IQ. Can you tell us a bit more?
What I like the most about the Control-IQ algorithm is that when I don't have time, when I get busy, I don't need to be involved with my CGM and my insulin pump as much as I would normally be. I know that Control-IQ will keep my blood sugars in a reasonable range. My time in range has been consistently over 90% on Control-IQ. I would not be able to achieve this consistently without the algorithm. And it's really taking a lot of stress away from me, and it's reducing the mental burden that diabetes can be for some people. So Control-IQ, definitely a yes. So yeah, I love it very much. Not more than my wife, of course, but I do really like it.
I really appreciate you sharing all that with us. Thank you. And I must say that my experience with Dexcom mirrors yours in many ways, especially the part about it being fairly inaccurate for up to the first 24 hours. And I feel similar about switching to Libre. So when I tried it, I did like it. I thought it was a good system. It's great value for money. However, the lack of integration is also an issue for me. So for you, Tom, it's an integration with your pump. For me, it's an integration with my InPen, my Smart Pen, as well as my Fitbit. And of course, I could still manage my diabetes without an integrated system. However, the integration I have right now just works really well for me. It's a great combo and helps me manage my blood sugars to the best of my ability. So based on that, I'll probably stick with Dexcom for now. So Tom, before we let you go, is there anything that you think that people should be aware of and that nobody tells us when it comes to these two systems, or just to CGMs in general?
Well, yes, I think there is one thing that people should be aware of and that nobody tells you, and that's to sign up for Crystal's channel, check out my channel, and check out all the Facebook pages that are related to individual sensors like Freestyle Libre 2, Freestyle Libre 3, Dexcom G6, because there is a huge community out there, and if you are new to this technology, it might be very confusing. There are just some information that you don't hear from a healthcare provider that you learn from the other community members. I learned so much just reading comments under my YouTube videos from my viewers who shared their experience there, and I implemented some of the tips they gave me. So the community is very strong, and sometimes the actual day-to-day users can give you more relevant and more actionable information than your medical service provider. Thanks so much again, Crystal, for inviting me. Keep up the great work, and I will see you next time. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Tom. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate you sharing all your experience with us. So guys, you can find Tom on his YouTube channel, Type 1 Talks, as well as on social media. So go check out his channel. And just to round off this conversation about CGMs, which CGM, or if you choose a CGM at all, of course will depend on a lot of different factors, including accessibility and price. But I do hope that Tom's experience can help you make a more informed choice if you choose to go for a CGM. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like below and leave Tom and I a comment. Also, if you do like my content, if you'd like to see more, remember to click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you'll be informed whenever I post new content. Thank you so much for watching.